Oh my god, can you imagine this bookshelf tour starts off with the bookshelf toppling over me? Hey y'all, my name is Mare. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a very exciting video and we're going to be doing a bookshelf tour. And the reason I'm so excited to do this video is because I actually have never been able to film in front of my bookshelf consistently throughout my entire booktube career. So I haven't had all my books in the same place at the same time in a very, very long time because I've been away at college. But I have everything that I've read pretty much collectively in the same place now, at least the ones that I own. And I'm so excited to share all these books with y'all, all these special memories that I have attached to these books. So how this bookshelf tour is going to work is I'm going to pull out each book individually. I will do my best to share any special memories or thoughts attached to those books because I really want to showcase who I am as a reader and what these books meant to me and what these books still do mean to me. If they mean something to me, that's why they're here, you know? So I am going to quickly explain how I organize my bookshelf, and the answer is I really don't. I do have some sort of organization system. I used to do it by color, and sometimes I had it by author or by genre, and I would usually keep series together. I still have tried to keep series together, but how I organize my bookshelf is actually by height. I saw Mel from Mel Reads do this in her bookshelf tour forever ago, and I was so excited to get home to my bookshelf because I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna organize all my books by height, and I'm so excited with how it looks. I just think it has this very clean aesthetic look to it that I love. So I just love how they are, you know, their ducks are in a row. I love that for me and I love that for them. And so I have books of all sorts of genres sprinkled everywhere. I do sometimes have them kind of collectively grouped together. So I have like more contemporary on this first shelf, and I also have more fantasy on this second shelf, and I don't even know what the third shelf is. So it's not sorted by genre, it's not sorted by author, it's sorted by chaos, and I hope that's okay with y'all. Without further ado though, let's just jump into this bookshelf tour and I'll talk about all these lovely books that I own because capitalism. And without further ado, here's my first book, A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman. And I actually do have a lot of sentiment attached to this book, so I do want to explain a quick story. So A Man Called Uwe is actually the very first Frederick Bachman book that I ever read, and it's not my favorite, but this is the only book by him that I have 2 editions of. I think my second edition is on the second shelf, so I'll show you all that in a little bit. And yeah, I know it makes probably more sense to have them together, but again, I'm sorting it by height and by vibes, not by author or genre or anything. So A Man Called Uwe is my first Frederick Bachman book that I ever read, and I was actually filming a video, and on my way while I was going somewhere for said video, I saw a half-price books, and I was like, you know what, I cannot resist because I am nothing but, you know, a victim of capitalism. So I went to the bookstore and I saw this copy of A Man Called Uwe, and I got really, really excited because I'd never seen this edition before. I believe it's the UK edition, and it's just really special to me to own a second copy of this book because it started my love for Frederick Bachman. The next book I have is Last Night at the Telegraph Club, Loveless by Alice Oseman. And as you can see, this one is very near and dear to my heart. I have so many tabs on this one, and it is definitely my favorite book by Alice Oseman. Then I have Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and Actor Age Eve Brown. I don't own the second book in the series, but I have read it. Then I have the entire Truly Devious series. Fun fact, this middle book was actually gifted to me by the love of my life, Mary Grace from MG's library, so thank you so much, Mary Grace. She knew how excited I was about Truly Devious, so she immediately sent me The Vanishing Stair, which was so sweet of her. And I'm so excited to own these because I definitely annotated the heck out of these, and I sort of guessed what was happening in the mystery as I read alongside, and it was just a really fun experience. I highly recommend doing that if you are going to read these books or any mystery, because it's always fun when you get it right and it's always fun when you get it wrong. The first 2 books in the selection series, I do have the other 3 at the very end of this shelf, but again, it's by height and those are in hardcover, so I have the 2 paperbacks earlier on in my bookshelf. Then I have this very beaten up but loved copy of American Gods by Neil Gaiman, and just like with A Man Called Uwe, this is actually the first book that I read by Neil Gaiman, so it's very near and dear to my heart because Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite authors. This copy is very, very beat up. I did not do that. I lent this book to someone and it came back to me like that, which was very sad, but I love this book and I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it, so it doesn't really bother me. It just looks a little bit more loved. Then I have Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne, Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade, Bunny by Mona Awad, An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson, Furyborn in Kingsbane by Claire Legrand, The Paper Princess series by Aaron Watt, The Check Please webcomics, The American Royals duology, The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Far From the Tree by Robin Benway, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas, and then here are those last 3 books in the selection series. Fun fact about my copy of The Heir is it is actually signed, so I'll show you that really quickly. I think I have the Barnes & Noble Collector Edition. But yeah, here's Kira Cass's signature, which if anyone knows me, they know that I love the Selection series. So this is definitely one of my prized bookish possessions. I also just noticed that the last 3 books in the Selection series were out of order, and that's really embarrassing for me. But I just fixed it, so it's fine. Also, usually sitting right here on my bookshelf is this art print that I got. I believe it's from HarperCollins, the publisher of the Selection series and Kira Cass's books, and it actually has 3 of Kira Cass's leading ladies on it. So it has America, Edelyn, and it also has, oh, I don't even remember her name. She was that forgettable, but this is the character from The Betrothed. I keep it for America Singer, really, but I think that it's really pretty, and I'm glad that I have it because I got it as a pre-order gift for The Betrothed, which is probably the only thing that came out of that book. But yeah, I'm excited that I have that art print because it's really, really pretty. We've now reached the second shelf on my bookshelf. So these are going to be most of my Cassandra Clare books, and there's also a little bit of my Frederick Bachman collection here. And so these are mostly young adult fantasy because that is literally all of Cassandra Clare's books, but I do have a couple of other things on this shelf. So first is my Frederick Bachman collection. Then, like I said, I have all my Cassandra Clare books, and I do have some of the series out of order, but again, it's because I organized my bookshelf by height right now. So I have Clockwork Angel hanging out by itself. Then I have the first trilogy in the Mortal Instruments. Then I have City of Fallen Angels and City of Lost Souls. I do own City of Heavenly Fire, the 6th book in the series, but I am hoping to read that soon again, so that's on my TBR cart for now. Then I have the 3 books in the Dark Artifices trilogy. Then I have the last 2 books in the Infernal Devices. Then we have her new series, The Last Hours, with Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron. And over on this side, I just have some more YA fantasy. Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. The Last Magician and the Devil's Thief by Lisa Maxwell. These Silent Delights by Chloe Gong, and the Strange the Dreamer duology by Laini Taylor. Now, these are more fantasy books and a few of my Neil Gaiman books. I will just say there is a content warning for Harry Potter. I'm not going to be going very in depth for it, but I do own those books, so I will leave a timestamp in the description if you would like to skip over that portion. The first book I have on the shelf is And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, which just didn't fit in with my other Frederick Bachman books on the previous shelf. Then I have a few more of my Neil Gaiman books, Very Beat Up, Very Loved, The Ocean at the End of the Lane, Neverwhere, and Stardust. Then I have the Arc of a Scythe trilogy with Scythe, Thunderhead, and The Toll, all by Neil Shusterman. I also have the collector's set of A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I do plan on rereading these soon because I read them in high school, and so I recently purchased the collector's set, not like recently, but like within the last year or two, and I just haven't reread them, so I am very excited to do that. These are really, really pretty, and they have like really beautiful insides. I don't own a lot of collector's editions or special editions of books, so it's definitely very significant that I have these, and it definitely shows how much I really enjoyed this series when I read them. Then I have Prince of Stories, The Many Worlds of Neil Gaiman, and this is sort of just a Neil Gaiman reference guide that I saw at the bookstore, and I was like, hey, how cool. And I still haven't read it, but it is nice to just look through and flip through and read about certain works after I reread them. Then I have My Baby, Anxious People, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, and this is actually another collector's edition. This one is illustrated, and I received this for my birthday last year. I definitely want to reread this book and just flip through all of the illustrations because it is gorgeous. Then I do have all my Harry Potter books. I'm not going to go through them because we don't need to, but I did want to include them in my bookshelf tour, and I don't plan on getting rid of these books. As you can see, they are very, very well loved. I do not support J.K. Rowling as an author, but I do have her books on my bookshelf because they were a very big part of my childhood and a reason why I loved reading. I've reread these books more times than I can honestly count, but I do have a Pygmy Puff from Universal Studios Orlando that is very near and dear to me. My mother actually got me this when she went to go visit the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which was always a dream of mine to go visit, and I actually did get the opportunity to in 2020, which was really cool, but she bought me this a few years before that, before I was actually able to go myself, and I just love him. He's so cute. Then I have Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, An Ember in the Ashes and A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir, The Accord of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas, and Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis. So I do have one more shelf on my bookshelf, but I'm not going to specifically go through this one. So here's just a quick tour of this shelf. This down here is actually just a photo that my friend gave me for, I think, when I moved to Florida or my birthday or Christmas one year. This was a gift from one of my best friends, and it's something that I definitely cherish. And also kind of weird that's down here is my CD collection, which I'm currently keeping in the Darker Shade of Magic Collector's Edition box, but I have lots of CDs in here. Most of them are signed, I think. I, for some reason, have 3 copies of Double Dare by Waterparks. I have lots of signed CDs. Music is something that is very near and dear to me, and I definitely miss live music, so I have all these CDs, which are nice to just look at and reflect on those memories when I got them signed. So that is it for this bookshelf tour. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was interesting. I have all my social medias linked down below, as well as ways that you can support my channel if you're interested. Thanks so much for watching like always, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye y'all!